Isn't it weird how we'll watch a commercial for a burger that looks like a masterpiece forged by angels, and then we get the actual thing and it's a sad, squashed pancake? We know it's a lie, but we just accept it. Our whole world is built on these little agreements to believe things that aren't true. Today, we're diving into the popular lies we just casually accept. From the urban legends we tell our friends to the facts we tell ourselves. Let's get right into it. Number 5, the goldfish memory myth. You know the story. Poor old Goldie is swimming around its little bowl, and every 3 seconds its brain hits the reset button. It sees its plastic castle for the first time, over and over, in a state of perpetual blissful ignorance. It's a tragedy, a comedy, and the perfect metaphor for a short attention span. It's also completely, utterly wrong. This idea that a goldfish has a memory that lasts about as long as a sneeze is one of the most resilient myths out there, probably because it makes us feel better about keeping a living creature in a glass prison with some colorful gravel. If they can't remember their own confinement, it's not so bad, right? Well, sorry to ruin your moral comfort, but scientists have been debunking this for decades. Studies have shown that goldfish can remember things for at least 5 months. They can be trained to respond to specific sounds, like a bell for feeding time. They can learn to navigate mazes. They can even distinguish between different human faces. That's right, your goldfish probably knows who you are. It sees you looming over the tank and thinks, "Ah, yes, the giant, the bringer of flakes." The myth of the 3-second memory is just a convenient fiction. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card for subpar pet ownership. So the next time you look at your little fish, don't pity its forgetfulness. Acknowledge its quiet, captive intelligence. It's not rediscovering its home every few seconds. It's just bored out of its tiny mind. And yes, it definitely remembers that one time you almost forgot to feed it. It's judging you, silently. Number 4, the 5-second scam. The scene is cinematic. A perfect, chocolate-laden cookie slips from your grasp. It tumbles in slow motion, a tragic hero falling in battle before landing face down on the questionable floor. A moment of silence. You glance around, nobody saw. You snatch it up, whisper the sacred incantation, 5-second rule, and carry on as if you haven't just committed a culinary crime. We all do it. The 5-second rule is less of a rule and more of a desperate prayer, a social contract we've all signed that allows us to rescue our fallen snacks from the abyss. The logic is that germs need a little time to get their act together, to mobilize and storm the cookie. For 5 glorious seconds, your snack is in a sort of microbial grace period. It's a lovely thought. Unfortunately, the bacteria on your floor didn't get the memo. They don't use a stopwatch. Scientific studies have confirmed what we all secretly knew. The transfer of bacteria from a surface to your food is practically instantaneous. A 2016 study from Rutgers University tested various foods, surfaces, and contact times, and found that while longer contact time does transfer more bacteria, significant contamination can happen in less than a second. What matters more is the type of food and the surface. A wet piece of fruit on a tiled floor is basically a bacterial magnet, pulling in germs faster than you can say, uh-oh. A dry cracker on a carpet. Less so, but the transfer is still immediate. So why do we cling to this lie? It's a simple, beautiful case of our brains choosing a delicious, immediate reward over an invisible, abstract risk. The loss of a good snack feels more painful than the statistical possibility of getting sick. The 5-second rule isn't science. It's a psychological loophole we use to justify our actions. It's a formal agreement between you and your digestive system to not think too hard about the microscopic zoo you're about to invite in. Number 3, the midnight spider snack. It's one of the most skin-crawling facts ever uttered. The average person swallows 8 spiders a year in their sleep. You're lying there, mouth agape, dreaming peacefully, and a rogue arachnid on some bizarre pilgrimage decides your throat is the perfect dark, damp cave to explore. It's a horrifying image that has fueled nightmares for decades. It's also a complete and total fabrication, designed from the ground up to prove a point about gullibility. And boy, did it ever work. Let's just break down the sheer absurdity of this scenario from a spider's perspective. First, a sleeping human is a seismic event. You're a landscape of thunderous snoring, chest-heaving earthquakes, and unpredictable twitches. Spiders are acutely sensitive to vibrations. It's how they hunt and sense danger. They would actively avoid a chaotic, noisy death trap like a sleeping human face. They'd sooner set up a web on a running washing machine. Second, there is absolutely nothing in your mouth that a spider wants. Spiders are predators. They go where the food is: flies, mosquitoes, other bugs. Your mouth is a barren wasteland, devoid of prey, and full of hazards like, teeth and saliva and the constant threat of being instantly crushed. A spider crawling into your mouth is like you deciding to go grocery shopping inside an active volcano. It's just not a logical destination. The origin of this myth is the best part. It was invented in 1993 by a columnist named Lisa Halst for an article about how easily misinformation spreads on the early internet. She created a list of absurd facts, including the spider one, to show that people would believe anything they read. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Her fake fact, created as an example of fake facts, became one of the most enduring urban legends of all time. So rest easy. You are not a nocturnal spider eater. The spiders in your house are far more interested in eating the bugs that are actually trying to get you. You've just been slandering your 8-legged security team for no reason. Number 2, the Lemmings' leap of faith. Picture it, a vast, snowy tundra. A horde of tiny, fluffy rodents called lemmings, driven by some mysterious ancient instinct, march resolutely toward the edge of a cliff. One by one, they leap into the abyss, a wave of self-inflicted oblivion. It's a powerful, if grim, piece of nature lore, often used as a metaphor for mindless conformity. It's the ultimate example of nature's brutal programming. It is also a complete and total cinematic fraud, cooked up by people who thought reality wasn't quite dramatic enough. The truth is, lemmings do not commit mass suicide. Not even a little bit. What they do is experience massive population booms every few years. When their numbers explode, they need to spread out to find new food and territory, so they migrate in huge groups. Being small and not particularly graceful, they sometimes encounter obstacles, like rivers or cliffs. When a massive, dense crowd of lemmings is pushing from behind, some of them are inevitably going to get shoved off the edge by accident. They are also surprisingly decent swimmers, but in a chaotic scramble, many don't make it. It's not a death wish, it's a traffic jam with tragic consequences. So where did the whole suicide myth come from? A 1958 Disney nature documentary called White Wilderness. The filmmakers wanted to capture this dramatic behavior, but the local lemming population in Alberta, Canada, wasn't cooperating. So they did what any sensible storyteller would do. They faked it. They reportedly bought a few dozen lemmings from local kids, put them on a spinning turntable covered in snow to create a dizzying migration scene, and then literally herded the poor creatures off a cliff into a river below. All for the perfect shot. That's right, Disney, the purveyor of smiling mice and singing princesses, is responsible for one of the darkest and most persistent lies in the animal kingdom. They slandered an entire species just to win an Academy Award, which, by the way, they did. And at number 1, we have the hair-thickening shave. This isn't just a lie. For many of us, it was a fundamental law of physics during our awkward teenage years. It's the solemn warning passed down through generations. If you shave that faint, barely there peach fuzz, it will return with a vengeance, darker, thicker, and angrier, like a follicular army sworn to reclaim its territory. The fear was real. The idea of accidentally turning a soft cheek into a Brillo pad was enough to make anyone hesitate before picking up a razor. Well, you can finally let go of that decades-old anxiety, because it's all an illusion. Shaving does not in any way change the thickness, color, or growth rate of your hair. Your hair follicles, those little factories buried deep in your skin, are completely unbothered by what's happening on the surface. They have a pre-programmed mission to produce a certain type of hair, and a little trim from a razor isn't going to change their genetic blueprint. They couldn't care less, so why does it feel so true? It's all about the tip. A natural, uncut hair is tapered, like the end of a paintbrush, getting thinner and softer at the very end. When you shave, you slice that hair off at its base, creating a blunt, flat edge. As that hair grows back out, that blunt, thick stump is what emerges first from the skin. It feels coarser to the touch and can look darker simply because it's a cross-section of the hair's full diameter. Think of it like a pencil. A brand new, unsharpened pencil has a flat, wide top. When you sharpen it to a fine point, it looks and feels thinner at the end. Shaving is just unsharpening your body hair. You're not making the pencil itself thicker. You're just exposing the blunt end. So all that time you spent worrying, all those strategic decisions about when and where to shave, were based on nothing more than a simple trick of light and touch.